told that I had a net metering bill because in all the conversations about it, I don't think we ever uttered those terms. And that would be the fourth thing that I address in the legislation. This is designed to be to make clear that you can lease solar equipment rather than having to purchase it. Some folks thought that you could do so. Others said it was unclear. So this bill is designed to show that you could, in fact, lease the equipment either in a commercial or in a residential facility and not be considered a power generator. You'll find that line through lines 54 and 58 that you can enter into a lease agreement and not own the equipment. It sounded like an accounting deal to me, and it is not power generation if you're doing so. Lines 95 to 97. No worries. Excuse me. Lines 95 to 97. This seems to be an older provision when we started having solar that could go back into the grid, that liability insurance was required. I think all parties kind of looked around and said, had ever been a situation that you needed it? And there had not. Some of these leasing companies will probably have larger liability insurance policies anyway, so that kind of seems to be covered in the leasing world. But that is what those lines do, that says that you do not have to have additional liability insurance just for that point. Then lines 185 to 188, I'm sure many of you are aware that we are working to try to promote battery storage. This is saying that if you have battery storage facilities in these leased situations, that you would not have to, you would be exempt from standby charges because you would have battery storage capabilities and be able to collect the energy produced. And then finally, we get to net metering, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Lines 232 and 237 just simply says that if it is leased equipment, nothing prohibits the same net metering opportunities for these facilities, these companies, or these people that any that own their equipment currently have. That's the bill, Mr. Chairman.
Committee, any questions?
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
When you, as an owner generator, you would assume that either if it's a business or it is a private residence, that their own home insurance or business insurance would be the covering entity, and you wouldn't need any additional insurance to operate a solar facility of solar equipment.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Marsden, that and the fact that we've not found any case that the insurance was needed because of a circumstance and a adverse situation. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Any other question? Yes, sir.
Just a clarification, I think, on lines 55 through 58, which is the third-party leasing.
Yes, sir.
Does it matter how much? In other words, if this is grid level battery storage coming back in off of a solar project, does it matter how much is coming back in?
Coming back in,
did not constitute the sale of electricity. In other words, could you bring 200 megawatts back in?
No, sir. Mr. Chairman, Senator Newman, good question. I apologize for passing on. We also made changes on 47 and 48 that spoke to the battery storage and smart inverter, but Romanet I after that, capacity of not more than 25 kilowatts for residential customers and 3 megawatts. My fault. I apologize for glossing over that.
Any other question from the committee? Those who in support would like to speak, please come forward. Anyone in support? Anyone in support of will speak? Anyone in opposition? All right. We'll operate by motion here.
Move to report.
Second hearing, no opposition.
Thank you. The proper will call a roll, sir, please.
Senator Marsden. Senator Lucas. Senator Newman.
Aye.
Senator Normant. Senator Spruill.
Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, sir. All right.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thanks for sticking me at the front of the bus.
Did we vote that, or did we just take roll? I wasn't sure.
I know who you are. Don't worry about it.
All right, there we go.
Anyone else here that any other person got a bill present?
Yeah, I got 3 bills in the committee.
Okay. Anyone present? Louise is downstairs in the committee meeting, but I want somebody who got a bill.
Saslaw?
Saslaw will be late.
Are Deeds and McClellan here?
They all are. They on general law court.
I don't know.
Ruff will be here in a couple minutes.
Senator Ruff? Come on, sir, please. Yes, sir. So you have Senate Bill 1075?
That's correct.
All right.
Correct.
Talk to me about it, please, sir.
All right. First of all, you should understand that it applies only to Appalachian Power. And it gives the State Corporation Commission more review authority to allow for more rate stability for the EPCO customers. It moves EPCO from a tri-annual review to an annual review and combines all the costs of the single proceedings where the SEC can more easily compare cost and revenue. The bill eliminates virtually all rate adjustment clauses except for the fuel and transmission racks, which only they can't do anything to control those. That's beyond their purview. The reduction of the racks also greatly reduces the number of rack proceedings and rate adjustment customers deal with every year. The bill provides a more objective approach to calculating a fair rate of return based upon authorized rates of return in a defined peer group. It eliminates the earnings band, which limits the SEC's ability to change rates depending on where in the band the utilities' earnings are. This change increases the Commission's authority. The legislation will give the utility the ability to earn its allowed fair rate of return as determined by the SEC, no more, no less. Because it is an annual process, rates will be more stable and reflect actual costs, protecting against large imbalances which could result in difficult developments in the short-term range. Existing law requires waiting 3 years, which creates these wider swings as it affects the customer.
So,
People set their rates, they think their rate's going to be similar, but if it starts jumping up, they aren't well budgeted for it.
so you're talking about going from 3 years to 1 year?
For a year, yes.
Okay. Members of the committee's question?
Is there amendments or public comment?
Yes, they're,
We're trying to get, is there amendment or something?
I think I don't know which version the staff have the.
Now, I was
Okay.
I was told that that would be, could we do an amendment at the full committee? Is that possible? Someone asked me about doing it. Sir, please come forward and tell us who you are, please.
Chairman, members of the subcommittee.
Wait a minute. Hold up a minute. Do we have one?
Do we have an amendment or a
No,
substitute?
Okay.
Hold on a minute.
Sir.
Let him finish, please.
Frank, are amendments going to be offered or not?
My understanding that there was going to be an amendment that would take care of some concern, but yeah, you have an amendment.
No, I don't have it with me, but I can.
Where's Miles?
If I may, I can speak.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, said
Hold a
some of
minute.
these topics are so sensitive. I don't want a verbal representation on what the amendments are. I want to see them.
Okay. Now, question for you this: what I will do, that since no one is here and no one is here, what I will do, can you get that commitment and I'll bring it back? Because we're not going to have a verbal. So you have time. So we will not do anything with the bill. We'll hold off and we'll bring back for the amendment. Is that fair enough for you? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. No verbal, sir. Go get me an amendment in writing, so we can have it.
I actually do have it.
You do have it.
All right. I hid it from you. I thought that you had it, and then so when you didn't have it.
I'm speaking on Appalachian Power.
Be cool.
Yes.
Be cool. Chill out. I'ma
On
take care of
line
you.
197, it should read a phase number 5. Is there? It should read a phase 2 utility or electric cooperative may at any time.
Oh, here come Big Mouth.
Could you repeat that, Frank, please?
On line 197, number 5, it should read a phase 2 utility or electric cooperative may at any time.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Proper moved, a second to remove the amendment. All in favor saying aye? Aye. Thank you. You have another amendment?
Nope, that's the only one that was presented to me. Huh?
Okay. That's okay? Okay.
Yes, sir.
No, you got one amendment. It should be.
One amendment?
That's all, it should be all right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do we have anyone in support of the bill would like to speak? Please. 2 minutes, please, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, John Morris, Appalachian Power, and I apologize for the confusion. I stood up to refer to our amendment in the run-up to this meeting. There were some discussions on some provisions that we think we've got worked out, but it was at a late date. So we wanted to give a heads up to the chair and to the patron that there might be either a line item or a substitute provided to the full committee. It's
But the amendment we just passed the amendment, that was okay, right? What we just got through?
Yes, a cooperative amendment is fine. And
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
yes,
Do you have any other amendments?
I do not to provide
Okay,
to
so
this.
we just got that.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, good. Thank you, sir. Continue, sir, please.
Just to let the subcommittee know specifically, if they want to refer to this, that the section in which the racks are removed are line 840, and the changes in return on equity are line 871. I think that the patrons very clearly kind of articulated the reasons for our bill, but you might specifically want to look at those sections. And I think to the larger point, the desire of Appalachian Power is simply to kind of create a more stable rate environment. As a business proposition, what we've been doing so far, under-earning, is kind of unsustainable as a business proposition. Our ratepayers surely will be affected by a triennial review in which you have much more peaks and valleys in terms of a rate structure, and we are going for our triennials coming up later this year.
Okay.
We're going to ask for a rate increase, and that triennial period just makes it more difficult to try to recover those costs. So the intent of this bill clearly is to just simply try to create a more level environment, simplify, the process for calculating the return on equity.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes,
Cut
sir.
cut to the chase.
Yes.
Is there any opposition to your amendment in the bill as it now exists?
I think the opposition was there are sections.
All I need is a yes or no.
Well, as it stands, yes, there is, but we're working it out.
No, something, no, thank you.
That's all I need.
Thank you so much, sir.
Sure.
Anyone else in support of this bill like to speak? Anyone present in support of the bill would like to speak? Is there anyone in opposition that would like to speak? Please come up, sir. Please give your name and what have you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Will Cleveland. I'm an attorney with the Southern Environmental Law Center. We have no opposition to the amendment that was just offered. That is totally fine by us. We do have concerns about the rest of the bill as currently drafted. We have been having very good conversations with Appalachian Power and hope to resolve those, but they were not ready in time for this committee meeting, for which we apologize. But we hope to have it all worked out and let the bill move forward.
Yes, sir.
What's your opposition? I mean, what are you working out? We need to know, right?
I'd be happy to answer that question, Senator.
Working it out with.
Well, I've been talking directly with Appalachian Power, sir. The concerns are these in subsection H of 585.5 or 585.8, I believe is the new section. There are many provisions where there is language that says that such and such cost shall be deemed reasonably and prudently incurred, and we view that as removing the Commission's discretion to scrutinize those costs. And I believe the conversations I've had with Appalachian Power, I think, and I don't want to speak for them, but that is something we can work on to make sure that the Commission does, in fact, have the authority to scrutinize costs to make sure that they are reasonable and prudent. Similarly, Senator, with regards to language about the utilities authorized rate of return, as currently drafted, the Commission has no discretion in what that rate of return will be. The statute says, as drafted, the rate of return shall be X based upon what other commissions in other states have set. We believe the Virginia Commission should have some role in setting that, and I believe Appalachian Power is amenable to those changes.
Thank you so much, sir. Another question, please? Any other questions? Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Senators. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else who is in the opposition to the bill, please come forward.
Well, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
Members of the subcommittee, Dana Wiggins with the Virginia Poverty Law Center, and we haven't had a moment yet to speak with Appalachian Power directly, so this is just expressing concerns similar to where some of the concerns that were just expressed, but we were sort of in a wait and see what was going to change or if things were going to change about the bill. We don't have any problems with the amendment, but just we're always looking for the SCC to have the discretion that they need to actually protect ratepayers.
Thank you so much. Anyone else speaking in opposition to the bill? Wait a minute, one more time. Anyone else speaking in opposition to the bill? If not, we operate by motion. Yes, sir.
I would move that the bill be reported, and for those who feel that there needs to be some additional work, I would encourage them to do it between now and the time it comes up in front of full committee. But I do note that, and I don't mean to be disingenuous, that those that are expressing concerns have not obtained notoriety for their flexibility in compromising. So I would say I would work on it between now and the full committee, or it's going to come out like it is.
You have a second?
That's a second, yes.
It's been properly moved and seconded that the bill report to the full committee as amended.
Yes, sir.
Right. All in favor, call the roll, please.
Senator Marsden.
Aye.
Senator Lucas.
Aye.
Senator Newman. Senator Normand. Senator Spruill.
Yes.
Ayes 5, no 0.
Mr. Chairman, you up, please, sir?
Great job.
Yes, sir. You're the chairman, right? You are the chairman. You're the chairman, right? Okay, come on up.
Couple things. There's been discussion going on, and there's been changes to the.
Mr. Chairman, what bill are we talking about, please?
We're talking about 1265.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, and there were a lot of changes made in the last 15, 16 hours, and the revision. I'll go over these changes. The revision was just done as of 1247. Bill, I notice, has gone from 24 to 38 pages now.
We have a motion. I have a motion to accept the substitute.
Wait a minute, can we have a copy of those?
First,
Wait a minute,
I'm sure
sir. Wait a
you
minute.
gotta adopt it.
To the committee, are you satisfied with accepting the motion, or you need time to go over it?
You have to postpone it for another week. I've got the summary, and I'm satisfied with that.
I'm talking to the committee. I'm not used to that, but I want to make sure that the committee.
Chairman, I'm concerned about something that may go in here, especially as it relates to the ability to have solar and that type of thing for Walmart. I hear you might be taking that out. I'm concerned about that. I wonder if we can hear a little bit about what's in it, because I may not vote for the substitute if it has things that I don't like it.
I understand.
So, yeah.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Dick, I know this has come about pretty quickly, but have there been discussions on the amendment in the nature of the substitute with the various parties trying to congeal around it, or did it happen so quick that it hasn't?
Well, it reflects the latest discussion.
I can answer that question. I can answer the question for you, sir. Yes, there has been discussion yesterday evening.
It reflects what's occurred
Yesterday
lately.
evening and this morning. Yes, sir.
Yes.
To answer your question, it has been discussion on it. Yes, sir, it has been.
All right. The general overall now, as a result of this, and then I'll get to just a little bit more detail with a page and a half summary. Effective July 1st, and what's being proposed, Dominion would reduce their annual revenues from the various riders, which are standalone charges, by at least $300 million. That would definitely benefits the ratepayer. Zeroes out certain riders, which were standalone charges, and they will be in the base rate with no increase to the base rate. The typical monthly residential customer bills would be $5 to $7 lower under this.
Yes, sir.
Because there are a lot of things going on.
Right.
When you talk about that, those riders, are they going to be rolled into the base rate?
Yes.
And that's what's going to result in the reduction?
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any members, anytime while he's speaking, if you have a question or any part of while he's talking, you see fit to ask a question, just raise your hand and he will answer the question.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
More of just the overall picture. As you know, the utilities used to be reviewed every 2 years, and then in, I think it was 2018, Wagner and I had the bill, and it went to every 3. This would put it back to every 2 years. Okay, that's what this bill would do. So there'd be more frequent review.
Yes, sir.
We just heard from AEP that's looking for an annual review. Would they be entitled to an annual review and other, say, Dominion be entitled to a biannual
Well,
review?
they're going to be out of this bill. I'm going to get to that.
Okay, I apologize.
Okay. Like I said, the reviews will take place every 2 years, the way it used to be, other than every 3. The SEC will be empowered to adjust base rates as they deem are appropriate and can consolidate the various riders. They can will be able to continue to focus on system reliability and security and ensure that the very large customers electing retail choice do not adversely, and this is important, impact on other customers. And they retain the annual review of fuel, transmission, and remaining riders. Let me get to a little more thorough summary. First, the bill, there are 2 very substantive changes from the introduced bill. Okay, first, it's on feedback that we've gotten back. They've opted to delete the first part of the bill, which deals with the large customers choosing alternative suppliers of electricity. And that may, answer your question. Also, I'll remain concerned about the issue of the effect on residential small business customers. This is the best course now is for me to write as chairman the State Corporation Commission and ask them to examine the issues and determine whether there are costs for other customers, and if so, the amount of those costs from the large customers reviewing, choosing those alternative suppliers. So that would not be in the bill, just we'd have them take a look at it.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Dick, just on that point, I thought the SEC looked at this not long back, and they said that it would, and that it was $60 million going to other, or something close to $60 million. I don't mind asking the SEC afterwards, but a letter's good. But if we know,
well, it may change. The second substantive change, and this would answer your question, Tommy, is that APCO is now out of this bill.
Yes, sir.
As I listened to the brief summary on APCO, one topic is, of course, was the annual review as opposed to a biannual review. The other thing that he mentioned verbally was the peer group, and I thought under the Dominion bill they wanted to expand the peer group because they were lowest in the South, and so rather than compressing it to the Southeast, they wanted to expand it. How is that?
Are you talking about on the rate of return?
I'm talking about that.
We'll get to that. Okay.
I'm curious about where AEP falls within that change.
I think I'll get to that. Anyways, as I said, the second substantive change takes APCO out of the phase, the bill entirely. So it only applies essentially to Dominion Energy. One of the clarifying ones to make clear is that $300 million rate cut takes effect July 1st of this year, okay? The second clarifying deals with the language giving the SEC authority over plant retirements. It makes it clear that this authority is, unless the retirement is otherwise required by law, they would look at those retirements, but their ability to look at that would expire in 2045, which would be in compliance, in other words, with the what's in the Clean Economy Act. Okay. The remaining changes are a lot of it are technical. As to the major substantive changes is again it switches back to every 2-year review from every 3. It calls for a $300 million rate cut, and it may be higher than that, maybe more than that, if the SEC determines that it's required as a result of over-earning or whatever. The reason for this change is to provide more frequent reviews of the earnings to respond to the recommendation in the Virginia Energy Plan and ensure that the rate reduction called for later in the bill is the correct number. And there's also a change on how the return on equity with utilizing the peer groups. And I think Senator Norman and I had set up that when we did when we went back to re-regulation in 2007, that it was they would look at the average return in the southern utilities from various states, which would be their peer group. What's happened is Dominion currently has the lowest return on equity of the peer group, which makes it less competitive in attracting capital. And, so they're going to deal with that. I think it's by taking both the high and low, if I'm not mistaken.
Taking the whole average.
Right.
I think they are broadening the peer
Broadening the peer
so
group,
that
yes.
multiple.
And it's also a similar provision dealing with the utilities capital structure. But that part is only in effect while the offshore wind is under construction, okay? And the bill gives the commission the authority to consolidate those various riders that they've had, for example, natural gas plant riders or all the various solar project riders. Further, the bill gives the commission new authority for a rate change in a biennial review whenever it deems such a change would be warranted without the requirement, this is important, without the requirement to over-earn or under-earn in 2 consecutive reviews. Now, this essentially incorporates the language from Senator McClellan's legislation. And what I'd like to do now is invite Bill Murray from Dominion up here, who can get into it a little bit deeper because he was involved in the negotiations.
Wait a minute.
All right.
Before I call him,
Okay.
I want to make sure that members up here might have more questions to you first.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question about the peer groups, but I'm happy to save that to Mr. Murray.
Okay.
And my question focuses on, I heard what AP said, and I want to know where Dominion is and how this bill affects or does not affect them. So I'm
Okay.
happy to defer.
All right.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just wondering if this is make a parliamentary inquiry. I have 2 amendments to add to the substitute, and I've explained those individually to the members of the committee, and was wondering if it would be appropriate at this time to do that or to finish with the presentation of the...
Have you those 2 minutes that you have you shared those with the patron of the bill or the Dominion?
I have, with the patron and the members of the committee, each individually, and if I could...
And what, wait a minute, let me give me a chance. Let me get my beads so I can take my time. So my question to you is this, that once you have, then were they satisfied with what you're trying to do?
I believe so, but I think it's appropriate that they hear it again to, to make sure.
I understand that. All I want to say, I
register.
just didn't want to have an amendment brought to the committee that the patron and those who are involved were not aware of.
Right.
If that's the case, then yes, this is the time.
Okay.
And then we'll call you, Mr. Murray.
If you go over those amendments again.
Yes, I can. If I could have staff report them, I will explain
Okay.
how this came about.
Mr. Chairman, Senator Marston, on line 777 of the substitute, the First Amendment, after direct that strike 70 and insert 85. So that would read, direct that 85% of the amount of such earnings that were more than 70 basis points, et cetera. And then on line 883 of the substitute, after capital F, striking the entirety of that subsection. I'm sorry, on page 34 of the substitute, line 883.
And if, Mr. Chairman, if I might explain those two.
Yes, sir, please.
Those two
Yes, sir.
amendments. The first, the bill on the
What
70.
lines were the first ones on?
777 on page 30 of the substitute.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, what that does is increase to 85 basis points, which means that any inadvertent or advertent over-earnings, more would be returned to the ratepayer rather than 70%. 85% would be returned to the ratepayer, and Dominion would be able to retain 15%. So I think it's a move in the right direction for the ratepayer. I've discussed that with the patron and with members of the committee, and certainly there's a coalition of folks who have concerns about the bill. And I spoke with a couple of them, and they seemed to feel that was moving in the right direction. And I negotiated that with Dominion, and then with a few members, but not all members. But I think it is a move in a positive direction for ratepayers. And I think it strengthens the bill and will bring a greater level of consensus.
Okay.
That's that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That, to me, explains 777. What's going on with 883 through
Yes, sir.
893?
Yes, sir. If I may, Mr. Chairman, I was getting to that. I think there was some concern, if I can just put this in plain language, that if the bill as the substitute as it's drawn would leave impetus for suggesting or initiating a plant closure would come from the SEC. And I think there was concern from the coalition of those who care about this bill that they don't know the composition of the SEC either in the near future, because we only have one member, or in the distant future as to what their decisions might be and how they would be making those decisions. And they preferred to get it back to the Virginia Clean Economy Act language, which it would be initiated by Dominion for the SEC to make the determination about the closure. It just keeps the original language of the.
I think you're splitting hairs, quite
Yeah,
frankly.
it is, but they felt more comfortable with that. And as you know, Senator Saslaw, comfort is what business we're in here, and I felt that would create greater comfort. And so those are the two amendments to the substitute that has been adopted, and I would so move those amendments unless there were any questions.
I'll move amendment number 1.
Second.
What we have in the motion, is there any question on amendment number 1? Yes, there have been the motion second.
For amendment number 1, I have questions on 2. Yes, sir.
Is that a voice vote, please? Yes. That a voice vote? All in favor, use the sign by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Number 2?
A question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
So, to amendment 2, so the net effect is, instead of the commission being able to go in and initiate retirement, Dominion Phase 2 has got to go in and ask for it, and then the commission's got to agree with it?
That has gone just a bit above my knowledge level. I believe that's the case, but if there is someone, perhaps Mr. Murray, who could answer that question.
Let's announce the question, please.
Mr. Chairman and Senator Newman, under current law, if we choose to retire a power plant of any type, fossil fuel, nuclear, solar, whatever it might be, that's a management decision. The commission could later find, from a financial perspective, in terms of recovering costs, that wasn't a reasonable or prudent thing to do, but that's a management decision. There are certain environmental standards, mercury air toxic standard, for example, where we had to close plants for environmental reasons. And that's where Senator Saslaw's amendment except as otherwise provided by law in the substitute, not Senator Morris's line amendment, said unless otherwise provided by law, because if you got to close a plant for environmental reasons, you don't have a lot of discretion. The introduced bill and the substitute had language that drew out of a September commission report on the Re-Reg Act that noted they were concerned that in the future they might need additional authority over power plant closures. From 2015 to 2018, Virginia law had what I sometimes call reverse CPCN, where the commission gives you a certificate to open and had to approve closing the plant. I will note that the committee already discussed sending a letter on the deregulation question or on the competitive shopping question. Perhaps there's nothing imminent. There's nothing imminent that's not already in our integrated resource plan. Nothing that I'm aware of for several years, so there would be ample time for the commission to opine at greater length on exactly what they've got in mind. And I will also observe that while the bill, as introduced and in the substitute, certainly consistent with a single object rule, the focus of the bill is rate making and not so much environmental questions.
Plus, it expires in 2045. In other words, it would not impact on the Clean Economy Act from that standpoint.
Question?
Very succinctly explain amendment number 2.
Number 2 takes all the power plant language out of the bill. It takes all the language on power plant retirements out of the bill.
And for those novice like me who don't understand any of this, what does that mean in layman's language?
Nothing changes in Virginia law about if the utility chooses to close a power plant. The bill would then make no change on how power plant closures work. And as I represent the committee, there's nothing I'm aware of that's not already been announced and been in a litigated integrated resource plan for the foreseeable future.
All right. Any more questions on number 2? Any question on number 2? If there are no questions on number 2, I'd like to have a motion, please.
I understand perfectly, but I'm not sure other people. I'm good.
You're right. I need a motion on number 2.
I'll move number 2, sir.
Second.
Proper move and second. Number 2, be reported. All in favor, use sign saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, now, Mr. Murray, you'll come up now. We finished now. Now you can come up, sir, and yes. Now, this is what we can do. We can allow 10 minutes on both sides.
Yes, sir.
So if you want to take your 10 minutes up, that's fine with me, but 10 minutes on both sides.
My goal is to do it much more quickly than that. So I'm going to walk through, just give you line numbers of the substitute. One note on the length of the substitute is because it's double spaced and the bill produced by the bill room is single spaced. Bill is actually shorter. So first, I'm going to just give you line references here. Through the $300 million rate cut as of July 1 is on line 187 of the bill. We understand, and Senator Sassel indicated this, there may be concern, is that the right number? Should it be some different number? So the bill requires that we file a biennial review, and throughout the bill, there's changes, strike triennial, insert biennial. That's on line 58. We do biennial reviews going forward, and that the first one's this year. Greater SCC discretion, which the Senator alluded to, and I'm aware there is a freestanding bill in the committee where that discretion is set forth in a sentence, admittedly a very long sentence, but in this bill it's on line 784. It's on line 784. The ROE discussion, Senator Norman, you had asked about that. That's on line 78.
You on line 78?
Yeah, that's the reference. The ROE is on line 78. The bill is not seeking to make any changes with how APCO is treated. In fact, makes it clear that in calculating a peer group, you don't include another Virginia utility, since the same commission setting that. The equity layer, or what's sometimes called capital structure, having that also be the peer group average, that's on line 852. As Senator Sassel noted, that's only while offshore wind is under construction through 2027. And I'll also note our existing capital structure, consistent with past commission rulings, is very close to where the peer group average is. Why are we doing this bill? We take pride in our rates having been below the national average for quite some time, since you all did the Re-Reg Act. I've got backup if folks want to discuss that, but in the interest of time, I won't pass that out unless that becomes a point of contention. Our rates have been below the national average for some time. This is a way for us to keep our rates below the national average while having the certainty we need to raise a great deal of capital to build needed infrastructure, whether it's generation, transmission, or grid hardening.
Stop right there a minute. Yes, sir.
And I'm done.
You done?
In your current peer group on the benchmarking.
Yes, sir.
Where does Dominion fall under your current peer group?
The current peer group, Senator, is the utilities in the southeast. It's about 10, and we are last. What I will say, what the bill does.
With respect to return.
Right, with the authorized return on equity. The bill doesn't change the peer group, but what it does say is it directs the commission. I realize there are those who feel very strongly against this, but it directs the commission to use the whole peer group. There's two reasons for that. When you all first did this bill, or first established the idea of a peer group in 2007, there were about 20 utilities in the South. Now there's about 10 because of mergers, and we've done one of those ourselves. So what happens now is you will have a case, and this is certainly the Commission's entirely entitled to do this in a law, where they'll pick the bottom half. I will also note that interest rates have more than doubled, just in general. So in general, in the normal operation of law, you would expect ROEs to increase in future years nationwide. So you could say on one hand, why do you need that if they're increasing? Again, we are borrowing a tremendous amount of money and want some certainty. We're not asking for above the average. We're asking for the average of the other southeastern utilities. Why the southeastern utilities? Like us, they're fully integrated and build generation, and like us, they're big. The three utilities bigger than us in the industry are all in the southeast. They're Florida Power and Light. Yes, sir.
You're not a lawyer, right?
No, sir.
Well, you shouldn't take you long to answer the questions. Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Tell me more than I want to know.
Yes, sir.
See there?
Yes, sir.
I'm a lawyer now, right?
Damn good lawyer. We would respectfully ask the committee to report the bill.
Okay. Question?
Bill, I have a few questions just to make sure I understand. First, is there any difference between your peer group and what we have now authorized under Phase 1 or AEP?
There's no difference in the peer group, how the average is calculated. They're the same Southern utilities.
At least 200,000 retail electrical customers in the AEP section, or is that just in your section?
That's just in ours, and that's reference to two who have not been considered in the past in Kentucky.
Okay, so that would be a difference between the peer group
Yes,
and just that item?
Yes, sir.
I understand. The other is that I understand in the substitute that we basically have gotten what I think was the retail competition section is now out of the bill.
Yes, sir.
And I don't like that very much, but explain to me why that happened, because my belief is that consumers would be hurt by that. I don't know. Maybe it looks like you wanted it, or somebody wanted it in to begin with. It was something that saved consumers money because you don't have people opting out for their own good, and then the entirety of the costs that are left over are now distributed to poor little customer, right? So I guess it may be a negotiation, but why is that section out?
Senator, yes, there was certainly discussion and not unanimity of views on it, but it's certainly a ripe topic for the commission to examine. The reference you made was to competitive shopping by retailers. That's a small part of the competitive shopping that's going on. Much larger customers than retailers competitively shop, and we felt it is ripe for a review by the commission. A colleague of some of yours, maybe all of yours, the late Senator Richard Holland used to say when he was helping Chair Jaylark that a vote against a study is a vote in favor of ignorance. So the idea of a study was floated, I can't remember by who, and it did seem like that would have some value to have the commission bring numbers. So it's not interest groups saying the number is zero, or it's if the issue is zero and there's no cost shifting, then there's nothing further to discuss.
Well, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. But as you know, this has been a thing of mine for a while. I mean, I just want to make sure that you don't have even a large solar project that comes in, and the net effect is you add that project, and before you know it, regular Virginians are being hurt, right? I like this part of your bill better before, and you're saying we're going to have a study, and I guess I can ask Commission if they already know what the answer to that question is, but that's very helpful. Yeah. Thank you.
And I will add, Senator Newman, there is a bill in front of the committee that deals with expanding deregulation, and I would expect to testify against that.
Thank you, sir. Any member of the other questions from the member of the committee? Thank you, sir. Any other who are in support of the bill? just come up and say, I support the bill. I'm gonna add 5 more minutes because Mr. Mayor took up all the time. Bless his heart.
I appreciate you, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, sir.
Committee. Jason Parker, Virginia State Building Construction Trades Council, 30-year electrician. I've worked in manufacturing. I've worked in infrastructure. I've worked in research at NASA Langley. I was also the dispatcher of that base for 7 years. We believe in our council that it's important to have affordability, but also the ability to raise capital for improvement, maintenance, and of course, anything else that can help with our electrical grid. We find that it supports our fellow Virginians, but also supports manufacturing, which is domiciled in the state and that which we want to get domiciled in the state. So we think that this is a good bill. I think it covers all bases, and we will support this as a council. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Anyone else present want to support the bill? 1 minute, please.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Mr. Chairman, and members of the committee. My name is Randy Dillard. I represent the Laborers International Union North America. We support this bill. In July 1st, there's $300 million that will come back into the coffers, and in addition to that, it helps to build infrastructure and create construction jobs and projects. So we do support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Anyone else present would like to speak in favor of the bill? Anyone in opposition, will you please come up? How many do we have in opposition so I can adjust my time? Oh, bless your heart, bless your heart. Oh, bless your heart. Lord, Jesus, keep me near the cross. That's it here. Now, let me ask you something so I can make sure that I'm doing it. Could we have one person, main person, to take 5 and give about us a minute? I don't want to hurt. I want to make sure that we have our shape. But you see, the folks we have here, I give everybody 5 minutes to be here all day long. Because you know the lawyer can ask a lot of questions. You know that. So what we want to do, so if there's a main person for the group, if not, I give everybody 2 minutes apiece. There's no case then. I'm gonna keep the time. Because you got so many, 2 minutes apiece. I want to make sure we have everybody. So, you want to agree with everybody? 2 minutes apiece?
Sure.
Right.
I agree.
Bless your heart. Come on, sir, please. Be sure to tell me who you are and what have you.
Chairman, again, my name is Will Cleveland with the Southern Environmental Law Center. I'd like to make 2 quick points. First, Dominion does not need this legislation to deliver $300 million in savings for customers right now. They can do that without this legislation. Second, the concerns that we have expressed to Dominion, I met with them yesterday, have not been resolved in the substitute today. Specifically, this legislation does not let the Virginia Commission set the rate of return for the Virginia monopoly utilities. That is our concern. That has not changed. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Next, please.
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Yes, sir.
Of this gentleman. Will, the bill as written versus the substitute and the 2 amendments, does that improve the bill to some extent in your view?
Mr. Chairman, speaking to the senator's question, the changes from 70% to 85% for sharing, that does certainly improve the bill for customers, but none of the changes that have happened today have improved the bill when it comes to the rate of return and the commission not having the authority to set the monopoly rate of return for Virginia monopoly.
Thank you so much, sir. Next, please. Please give your name and who you're with, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Connor Kish on behalf of the Sierra Club. I'd want to thank Dominion for meeting with us this morning to go through the changes that were going to be appearing today. And I do think they have improved the bill, and we appreciated being part of that conversation. And I also want to note that Senator Marsden's amendments today do improve the bill in our opinion as well. But I won't go through what Mr. Cleveland just went through regarding the rate of return still being a concern for us. That is still the case, but not to rehash that, I will just say that those amendments, in our view, do improve the bill, and a few other concerns remain. Happy to continue the conversation.
Thank you so much, sir. Next, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Ken Hutchison on behalf of Walmart, not here in opposition or support of the bill. First, I want to thank the senator for his substitute. The return to status quo on a few of the retail shopping matters is important to Walmart. But we would note that we have communicated with Dominion our concerns about how the peer group in the language is characterized. We believe a broader peer group will create a better impact for ratepayers in the Commonwealth.
Yes, sir. Hold 1 minute, please. Yes, sir.
How broad a group would you want, and where would you bring the group from?
So that's still being discussed internally, but I think we have presented language to Dominion for their consideration that would draw in many of their peers from the Midwest all the way down to Texas.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Miles Loria, representing the Data Center Coalition. We again appreciate the Senator and Dominion for continuing the discussions. We still have concerns. We're trying to understand the long-term impact of the changes that are being suggested. We also are trying to figure out where the urgency for the bill, a bill of this size and this scope, in a short session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Question?
Miles, you're one of the most extraordinary, insightful, and bright lobbyists I know. How much time do you need to understand the bill?
I'm slow, Mr. Chairman, so it's going to be...
How much time do you need? I want to know.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'll answer it this way. The data centers, 60% or more of their operational costs are power.
I understand. How much time do you need to understand the bill?
Mr. Chairman, I would say probably more than a 45-day short session.
Oh, bless your heart, bless your heart. Now, so you would know this. Remember, this is the subcommittee. You still have time left because it has to go to the full committee. So this the subcommittee, we only recommend to the full committee. So if you say, well, I don't have time to look at this, you still have 3-4 days left before it goes to the full committee. We're only going to make a suggestion from the subcommittee. You have all of us at this time, all of us this week, to go over it, to come before the full committee.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
I see this very invigorated crowd that we have. I know the Senate Finance Committee has taken an approach that if there's a presentation in front of the committee or subcommittee, it's not going to take additional testimony. Do you know how Commerce and Labor is going to handle this? In other words, all these people are going to speak again?
No, sir. No, sir.
Dick, I understand.
No, sir.
Hang on.
No, sir. They will not. That's why I want to make sure you have it now, so when His Highness, the chairman, comes in, he would know not to do it again. Isn't that right, sir? You want to speak now, right? I'm doing exactly what you told me to do. I'm the junior His Highness. You're the His Highness.
You just listen to me.
That's it. Yes, ma'am. 2 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, my name is Kim Germain with Advanced Energy United. We represent the full suite of advanced energy technologies, everything from solar, wind, electric vehicles, manufacturers, developers, and installers, so really running the gamut. We appreciate the amendments offered by Senator Marsden, and we expect them to alleviate some of the concerns we had around the material impacts on the Virginia Clean Economy Act. But we do still have deep concerns about the rate implications, especially as they relate to project build-out under the Clean Economy Act and customer bills. And though we were given a brief preview of this legislation at 8 a.m. this morning, that did not entail any substantive discussion or negotiation, and we need additional time to look at this legislation. Thus far, we oppose this legislation.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Next, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Will Reisinger. I'm a regulatory attorney based here in Richmond, and I'm speaking on behalf of the advocacy group Clean Virginia.
Yes, sir.
We oppose this bill.
I'm sorry, who are you speaking for?
Clean Virginia.
Is that out of Charlottesville?
Yes, sir. Now, want to mention 2 points. One, regarding the...
Hold on a minute. You all right?
I'm fine. They sent me some mail over the weekend. I just wanted to be sure who the face was behind sending that trash to me.
Yeah, I can't answer that question, Senator.
I understand. Please, sir, let's go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. One, regarding the ROE, we oppose those provisions. That would basically dictate the result that the commission would have to reach. Right now, the commission has discretion to set Dominion's ROE after considering what that correct level should be in order to allow the utility to attract capital. That's why we have the State Corporation Commission. That's what they do with regard to all other regulated utilities in the Commonwealth. That's what they're good at, and they should be allowed to continue to do that job. Second point, with regard to the so-called $300 million of rate relief, what that actually does is move $300 million of costs out of rate adjustment clauses and into base rates. So those costs don't go away. They'll still be recovered just through a different bucket. So rates will go up, and the higher ROE will cause both higher rate adjustment clause rates and higher base rates, which will be a cumulative, significant adverse impact to all customers.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.
Next, please.
Hello, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. Dana Wiggins with the Virginia Poverty Law Center. We appreciate meeting with Dominion several times and them hearing our concerns around process. After looking at the changes that today, and we appreciate Senator Marsden's effort, we are hopeful, though, that there will be more discussions. We don't think a lot of the process corrections that we think are needed to make it a fair process are still missing from the bill. And we hope, at least we appreciate the look at the collar in Senator Marsden's amendments, but we hope that they will restore in the language the floor so that it's not just the company always being able to ask for rate increases, but there is also the opportunity for the rate to decrease when necessary. So we think it's not yet ready, but we appreciate all the open dialogue and discussion. Will continue.
Thank you so much. Next, please.
Excuse me. Good afternoon, Senators.
Yes, good afternoon.
Meredith Haynes. I'm a volunteer. I'm representing the Virginia Grassroots Coalition, an organization of over 50 volunteer groups and 15,000 engaged voters throughout the Commonwealth. Notwithstanding there are 14 additional pages to process, we are in opposition to this bill. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Next, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. I'm Scott Pedowitz with the Apartment and Office Building Association and the Virginia Apartment Management Association. Appreciating the work going into this. Respectfully, we do oppose the bill. Encourage the subcommittee to oppose it as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, please.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Hello, Mr. Chairman. Hello.
What's your name again, please?
Tanisha Griffin. I'm the Environmental Policy Analyst with New Virginia Majority.
Okay.
We did have concerns with the bill as introduced. We do appreciate Senator Marsden's amendments and appreciate those. I think we may still have some concerns about the peer group methodology part of the bill and how that affects customers' energy bills and the costs going forward. So I want to review the substitute, get a better understanding of that. But as it stands now, we're still opposed to the bill.
Thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Next, please.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Ben Hoyne with Solar United Neighbors. Haven't had a chance to see the amendment nor be a part of the conversations, but any bills that make it more challenging for homeowners, or in this case, businesses, commercial entities, whatnot, thank you, Senator, to go solar, to put solar on their rooftop or on their property is something that is difficult for us to support. I would just, again, suggest that there's a better way to do this, whether it's the Commission on Energy Utility Regulation or some other thing that would really give this bill an opportunity to be worked out over the rest of 2023. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, there is a bill to reinvigorate that committee sponsored by Senator Survell. So, that may be an opportunity to do many things in the future.
Thank you, sir.
First chance here.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Brett Massey, I'm the CEO of VMA. I don't have anything to add to what you've already heard. What I do have is a request. We continue to work with the utility as this bill moves. But as you try to provide predictability for an ROE, for a healthy utility, I encourage you to balance this with cost. Cost is real. And we're looking at somewhere between 21 to 46% increase in electricity prices by 2035. Not our numbers, SCC and IRP. We don't know what the right number is, but we never score these bills. You never get a number to say, this is what's going to happen over 10 years. That's the window we need as manufacturers when we make capital investments in the state of Virginia. So we ask you to balance this out. As you're trying to give 10 years of predictability to the utilities, give us predictability in how we invest in the state of Virginia, and price matters. That's all we ask.
Thank you so much, sir. Yes, sir, please come forward.
Senator Spruill.
Yes, sir.
What's been said has already been said. Thank you very much for working this out, this opportunity to engage. This time, we still have quite a few concerns with this bill at the League of Conservation Voters, but we are committed to engaging with everyone, and you'll hear where we have our final stance, both in committee and on the floor. We'll be in touch.
Thank you so much, sir. Anyone that I missed anybody who is in opposition? Just had to.
Mr. Chairman,
chill out. I'm talking to my constituents. I want to make sure is that out here to have the opportunity to speak. I want to make sure that everyone had the opportunity to speak first. And now, sir, yes, sir.
All right. Is there a representative here from the SCC? I'd like to ask one question.
And I may or may not be the right one, depending on your question, but I'm the first volunteer.
And if you could introduce yourself to.
Yes, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, I'm Kim Pate. I'm with the commission.
Okay. Kim, does the substitute here today as amended create fewer restrictions on SCC rate making?
The substitute in total, not just the amendments that you proposed?
No, all of that wrapped together, does that create fewer restrictions on SCC rate making?
That's kind of a tough question to answer, I think. There are definitely still instructions on how to do stuff. We have to now use, let's just use the return on equity as an example. We have to use the average of the peer group, and it has to be an authorized return. So that is something different than is currently done with the commission, because the current statute provides for that either the earned return or the average return. So there was some discretion there. So now it goes to just one pathway with the authorized return of the full peer group. So I'm not sure exactly how to answer the question. It's different.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before we go any further, before I call for a motion.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Before I make my motion.
I want to say something before you make a motion.
I'm sorry?
I want to make a speech before you make a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You ready to make a motion?
Yeah,
Yes,
I am,
sir.
but I was going to make a preface before I did, but so go ahead. I apologize.
You want to say something before a motion?
I have a couple questions before we get to that, if that's okay. So I don't know if it's back for the commission or otherwise, but if you were to boil down the concerns maybe that you have on return on investment is that we now have a peer group and peer groups are going to limit the commission's capabilities. Is that the right way to put that? I think through the lawyer, I don't remember your name, but that's it.
Mr. Chairman, speaking to the Senator's question, Senator, yes, that is the concern, is that I personally don't have any issue with Dominion earning the rate of return that is equal to the average. I just think that they have very good lawyers. They should be required to make their case, and then the judges should be able to decide. This bill does not allow that. The bill legislatively determines the outcome, and that is our fundamental concern, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I have another question, I'm sorry.
Yes.
So to the State Corporation Commission, I guess, to one of you, do we know what the effect of or what the amount of the dollar shifting would be by taking out some of the competition sections? In other words, have you guys already determined that, or is that something that you need a study to do? I had heard the number is $60 million, but is there already a number that we already know, or are you not going to answer?
Senator Ron Volstead with the commission. That's not a number that we can.
I don't think they do it.
You just don't know yet? Okay.
Thank you so much. Before I call on Senator Norman to make the motion, I want to say something. Now, this is a complicated topic for me. Going home last weekend, in my mailbox all over the neighborhood, my picture was everywhere. I thought I had started campaigning. Not yet, Jen, not yet. But if the committee, both of ours. If the committee recommends reporting this bill, I want to make a few things clear. This is with all due respect, Mr. Leader, who is the patron. I'm hearing from a lot of people on this. I'm still not convinced there is enough here for the average customer. Even though there have been some improvement, I'm afraid to vote for this bill today. I'm not afraid, but I'm afraid to vote today again in the full committee. So even if I would vote for it today, I was hoping that I will vote for it today, but I was hoping that between now and the full committee, that those who have some concerns, please get with the mayor and talk about what you have, because that's really important. Because the full committee, there is more to be done for the customer. The cost and rising, we need to help the customers. The mayor you still have work to do. Hope by the time this gets to the full committee that those who have other concerns get with Mr. Murray and the others and say, hey, we do have time between now and Monday, I believe we may meet Monday. You have time to get that and bring it back. So I'm hoping that I'll at least allow those who are in opposition, because you had so many, I'm hoping I'll at least allow you the opportunity to express your concerns. So that's my concern is this, is that it's not enough. There have been some improvement. I'm hoping between now and to the full committee that there will be some more concession made. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a couple of things. First of all, I enjoyed your picture at my home as well, and I just am hopeful at some point that Mr. Bills and Sonia will come and visit with us. I'd like to see who's spending all this money on me. On it. While I am obviously going to be supportive of the bill, I want to echo what the chairman has said, and I would encourage all of the parties, and it doesn't mean just Dominion and AP. It means some of you who are not notorious for compromising, but emphatically saying the word no, that there will be ongoing discussions with Dominion and AP, but they will be done in good faith, and I would be very encouraged if there was some compromise on both sides, but not unilaterally. And I say that based upon 15 years of experience in dealing in this topic. The word compromise is not a dirty word, but it takes bilateral action. So I'll hope that there will be ongoing discussions. I think the bill has been improved substantially since it was initially introduced. I think the substitute made some sizable movements on some issues, and I certainly thank Senator Marston for his amendments, which I think were improvements. With that, I move the bill pass.
Properly moved. Well, since you're the godfather, I'm allow it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Get a second for it. Do I have a second? Second. I'm probably thank you. Yes, sir.
I would also, and I noted that a lot of the people who were in the opposition corner didn't have specific items, but I'm sure you do. And I want to thank you for not, going over the 2 minutes. But I would encourage everybody to see if you can't get everything as much as possible worked out over the next 3 or 4 days or 5 days. And I know we're not going to have something that everybody in here agrees on, but it seems to me that, everybody's got to compromise some, okay? I mean, that's something you need to understand. And if you're unwilling to compromise at all, if it's your way or the highway, then don't bother to get into the discussions, okay? Because you're not going to like it. The bill, I think, it can be changed, maybe not dramatically, maybe not as much as people think, but it seems to me that, Dominion certainly has been willing to go more than halfway in meeting with everybody in this room who's had a problem. See if you all can't get as much worked out as possible, and we'll go from there, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Call a roll, please.
Well, Mr. Chairman, before we do, may I say something? 1
minute, please.
Okay. I hope we'll continue to compromise. I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to vote for it today, but I could be persuaded. But I will tell you this: when it comes to the peer group, they are basically the same between AEP and Dominion. And I think if there's going to be discussions, it needs to be with both, right? Because if there's going to be discussions about that, the peer groups should come very close to being the same. Because they're basically in the same areas. And the other item is, I know there's some people, good friends here for Walmart and otherwise, but I do believe that sending a letter is not nearly as good for consumers as knowing that we're not going to pass along those costs to others. So, Mr. Chairman, I could be persuaded, and I think that with some more negotiation we can get there, but I'm just going to not support yet today. And, Mr. Chairman, a parliamentary inquiry, if we pass this bill, where's the McClellan bill? Because it's in direct it's you
not
can't
in conflict with this.
Wait a minute.
You can still do both. You do both. Okay,
Separate,
thanks.
yes, sir. Now the key is this. Now there has been a motion made and a second. Now all these afterthoughts now is not procedural. Once the motion is made and second, you had all this time to ask all these questions, and everybody want to talk. A motion has been made. We had a chance. I'm talking about the committee members now. We had a chance to ask questions back and forward. Once some motions made and the second made, that closed it down. So I want you to know that. Now, but because of my lawyer told me to let you do it, I'll give you 1 minute. Well, from here on out, once you make all the discussions, pros and cons, and once we did all our discussion and the motion is made, there will not be no more discussion. Well, because I'm a nice person today, you got 1 minute.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Having come out of the world of juvenile justice, where we have migrated from making judgmental decisions about people and trying to use science, to make that. And I understand, the difficulty in going with something that, a peer group that just dictates. That's what it is. It's determinative right there versus, human judgment. And it's always very difficult to combine, judgment, with an empirical decision-making factor, like a peer group. It's just hard, to do that. And you can preach it either way. But I think we've made some progress on this bill today, and I hope the committee advances it to the subcommittee advances it to the full committee.
Call a roll, please, sir. It's to the motion and the second to move the bill to the full committee. Is that right? Okay. Call a roll, please.
Senator Marsden.
Yes.
Senator Lucas.
Aye.
Senator Newman. No. Senator Norman.
Aye.
Senator Spruill.
Aye.
4 ayes, 1 nay.
4 ayes and 1 nay.
Thank you, Mr.
Now
Chairman.
the bill goes to the full committee. Now you have 3 or 4 days now to get with all the concerns. Thank you so much, sir. My favorite congressman, you mind coming forward, please? I apologize. I meant senator. I didn't mean Congressman.
I won't tell Bobby Scott. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is a simple bill that basically says if the SCC in a rate case determines that the utility, and this applies to both Dominion and APCO, if their base rates will produce unreasonable revenues above the rate of return, it gives them back the authority to, but doesn't mandate, but gives them the authority to reduce the rates as it deems appropriate to have just and reasonable base rates. A couple of points. First, again, this applies to both APCO and Dominion. My understanding is the concept, maybe not the exact wording, but the concept is included in the bill that you just heard. But I don't know what's going to happen with that bill. There seems to be consensus on this concept, and so that's why I think we need to have a standalone bill. No one has come to me with opposition. My understanding is APCO is neutral, and that's the bill.
All right. Question from the committee. Question from the committee. Yes, sir, please.
Is there a substitute or amendments that still has triennial in here? I mean, what
Well, Mr. Chair, I think what I would be willing to do, very similar to what we did, you remember when we had the Clean Economy Act, there was a separate but related wind bill. And those bills kind of moved in parallel so that whenever the committee wanted changes to one that would impact the other, those changes were made. I am open to do that. If you want to take triennial out and just say in a rate case, happy to do that. But I think probably by the time we get to the floor or full committee, there may be some tweaks needed to conform it to whatever language the committee decides to keep on this point in the big bill, and I'm open to doing that.
Yes, sir, please. Now I have a question for you.
Yep.
What am I-
I'll let testimony take.
My question, please, Mr. Murray, please answer the question, please. Please come forward, young man. She said something about taking triangle out.
Yes, my understanding is in the Dominion bill, they're going to biennial, and I believe there is a bill for APCO that takes them to annual.
Right.
So what I would be willing to do is where on line 16 where it says triennial, we could strike that and just say rate review. And then that way it doesn't matter whether it's a triennial review or a biennial review or an annual review.
On that question only, would that be in the heartburn on that question?
I think that would capture whatever time interval.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, so
Mr. Chairman, I move that amendment.
Yeah.
Second, the proper move a second of the amendment. All in favor, use the sign saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Now, any member of the commission, that's what I call you, any question? Those who are in support of the bill, will you please come forward? Those who are in support of the bills, come forward. Now, because she had done so well, all I need is 30 seconds, yes, no, or maybe so. That's all I need. Don't need no long talking. She did it very well. Thank you, ma'am.
Greetings, Mr. Chairman and the committee. My name is Grace Robinson, and I am the organizer with Freedom Virginia. I'd like to thank Senator McClellan and say that we are in support of this bill.
Thank you so much. Bless your heart. Next, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, again, Will Cleveland with the Southern Environmental Law Center, and we thank the senator for the bill, and we absolutely support it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Next, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, again.
How you doing, sir?
Good. Again, my name is Will Reisinger. I'm speaking on behalf of Clean Virginia. I want to say very quickly, before I was in private practice, I represented consumers at the Attorney General's office.
30 seconds. I know you're a lawyer. 30 seconds.
This bill would solve a problem that we saw a lot between 2011 and 2018, where we would have a triennial review or a biennial review case, where all parties to the case agreed that Dominion's going forward rates were too high, but because of the law in effect, the commission was powerless to reduce them. This would allow the commission to reduce those rates to the correct level, and it's a good bill for consumers.
Bless. Thank you so much, sir.
Right.
Thank you
sir.
so much. Next, please.
Hi, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Dana Wiggins with the Virginia Poverty Law Center. We thank Senator McClellan for bringing a bill that, a concept that we hope has been brought up more and more over the years, but we appreciate her bringing it this year in particular because it actually fixes the process, not determining the outcome.
Do you support it?
Yes, we support the bill because it creates a clearer and more fair process, and it doesn't determine the outcome.
My friend, of all the many years I've known you, you finally say you support something that I love. Praise the Lord. Thank you so much.
I'm not sure about that. Does that amendment roll your bill?
No. Something. No. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Next, please.
Hello again. I'm environmental policy analyst with New Virginia Majority, Tanisha Griffin. We support the bill and thank the
Thank
senator.
you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. I'm Victoria Higgins, the Virginia Director with Chesapeake Climate Action Network, and we support the bill.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Rachel Adams. I'm with Americans for Prosperity Virginia, and we support the bill.
Thank you so much. I got to hear this one. I got to hear you say it. You got to say it.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Kim Jemaine with Advanced Energy United, and we support the bill.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you so much. Next, please.
Hello again, Meredith Haynes with the Virginia Grassroots Coalition. We enthusiastically support the Senator's bill.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Karen Camplin. I'm the Environmental and Climate Justice Committee Chair on behalf of the Virginia State Conference NAACP, and we thank the Senator for carrying this bill, and we support this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Next, please.
Mr. Chairman, Connor Kish on behalf of the Sierra Club, we support the bill.
Thank you. Jen, how in the world you get all of these folks who normally some other way, and they supporting you? How you manage to do that? Tell me, please, so they can support my bill. Tell me what to do.
I'm nice.
You're nice. Oh, bless your heart. Thank you. Now, is there anyone here in opposition?
Not opposition per se, Mr. Chairman, and I would hesitate to ever question Mr. Stevens' legal advice. If you were to report both bills an issue to reconcile, on line 16, the bill refers to any rate proceeding. On line 18, I'm sorry for my poor eyesight, the Commission's sole discretion. And on line 20, we've got a notwithstanding. Those are very strong words, and our concern would be if you just muted everything you did in Senator Saslaw's bill, because you could read this. Yes, it is definitely simple. Long sentence, but just a sentence. Is it being read then as a super sentence that trumps everything else having to do with utilities? And that would just be an issue to reconcile heading into the full committee in our view.
You answer the question, please? Let her answer. Then I call you.
Dominion has not offered any proposed language or amendments. I am open to any that they would suggest, or I'm happy to talk to legislative services to ensure that there isn't any sort of consequence similar to what Mr. Murray said. So the point of this bill is very simple, and it's not intended to bootstrap anything else. And I'm happy to work with Dominion or legislative services or anybody else to address that concern.
Yeah, but we have a little sidebar over here, but that was my question, is that they're in conflict with each other.
So wait a minute. So what you're saying then, so between now and Monday, if the mayor want to get reviewed, you can work something out, you will be amenable to it.
Yes.
So we can move this bill forward, even though there are some problems there. You can get with Bill Murray together and say, hey, we can do something by Monday. You're amenable to do that?
Yes.
Are you amenable to do that?
Yes, sir. Okay.
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Tell him I'm the chairman, sir. Please tell him that. Senator Lucas, any question? Now you, sir.
I think Senator Lucas has a motion when we're ready.
All right, I got a question first.
Well, I think they're in conflict. I mean, that's my problem. I can't read these words and not think that they're different than what I have labored over, and because I'm not as bright as others. I mean, it just seems like to me we would be sending out two different policies out of our subcommittee. And tell me why I'm not sending out two different policies when these two are giving them in their sole discretion things that are prescribed in the other bill. I mean, I like all the things in the other bill, but it seems to me we should have one policy and not two.
Mr. Chair, in my office, when Dominion walked through their bill, they said that the concept of mine is included in theirs. If that is true, they can't be in conflict. If there is something in this bill that would negate a separate part of their bill that has nothing to do with whether the commission has the discretion, let me back up. All this bill is trying to do is say, if the commission finds that Dominion or APCO have over-earned, and that over-earning is unreasonable, they have the discretion to reduce their rates accordingly. That's all this bill is trying to do. I didn't write it, legislative services wrote it, but that's what we told them we wanted to do. That concept is in Dominion's bill for Dominion. They've now taken APCO out of their bill altogether. If I need to make amendments to this so that my concept does not make any changes to the rest of their bill, I'm open to doing that. I've said that all along.
Mr. Chairman, I hear that, but I read I read different concepts. I don't read a peer group here. I don't read following a peer group. And maybe I don't like all the things in the peer group, but it seems to me that if you combine them in some way, you're going to end up with a peer group directing an ROI and then a commission determining in its sole discretion what to do with that.
No, back up. This bill does not set the ROI. The peer group is used to determine what the ROI should be.
Well, hold on. Stop it. What's the matter? Please come forward. Please, I want you to sit right here because I want to. So we're going to get this out of here, but my point being, I'm trying to figure out that the conflict, the subject she just got to mention about working to take something out. Is there a possibility that we can work something out that would not have a conflict?
Yes.
So there's a possibility you can work without having to get both of them passed. All right now, so your Senator, what you were saying, he was saying, I want to make sure, I understand, Senator Lucas, he was saying, we know there's a conflict, but he is saying there is a way that they can work it out without being a conflict before we get to us Monday. So what I want to do, that I want to take the question, what have you, but still I want to make sure that we do not, because if that's the case, then we can just take and roll her bill into Dominion's bill.
Yeah.
That we can do that.
I don't want to do that.
But, wait a minute, but if they both are sitting right here in front of us and they're saying to us that we can work it out where both bills can get passed, then why can't we do that?
Well, they can, but while they're working it out, we still make.
Wait a minute, but still, we only recommend. So if they can work it out by Monday and get it to us Monday, then we still can tell the full committee it's not enough done, they can't work it out, and we can bypass it and bring it back. We do not have to recommend to the full committee Monday. We do not have to vote on it Monday. If it's not right to your liking or your liking, if it's not right, then I will recommend that we do not take it up. We bypass for the day until next week.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I think you are right.
Thank
you. That we can have two different bills that have two different policies go to the full committee. My struggle, I think, would if we ultimately recommended this policy and that policy together without reconciliation.
Mr. Chairman.
And to me, I can't get that they are reconciled today.
The case with this, wait a minute.
I got one point.
I'm going to listen to you, but if, which we wouldn't approve this one, but the key is this right here. I heard what you're exactly saying, but time they come to us Monday, I am hoping that there is an amendment or a substitute. If there is not an amendment and a substitute by Monday, then I will recommend to the chairperson that there's a conflict, like you said, there's a conflict. We can't do it because there's a conflict. So I'm saying, so why not let both bills go forward? And if they do not work it out, Monday, when they call me to call the bills on both of those bills, I'm going to recommend that they both go by for the day because they have not worked it out. So we will not vote on the full committee on either one of those bills if it has not been worked out. I'm hoping. And he said right here that with the senator right here saying that they believe that they can work it out.
Yes.
So I'm hoping this one time that we can really, when two sides were saying, I want my own bill, but I believe that if you give us a chance, we can work it out. Let's let them do it, please. Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Chairman, the policy is not in conflict. The policy in my bill that is included in the Dominion bill for Dominion and in my bill for both is if the commission finds they have over-earned, the commission has the discretion to reduce their rates. If there is language that does more in this bill, and that language is in concept with the remainder of their bill, we will take that out. We will reconcile it. But the policy of the two bills.
I heard you shaking your head. All right.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to do, if it's okay with the committee, is get a motion from the senator to recommend approval of the second, with the understanding with the understanding that they get together, and when they come to us Monday, if it cannot, then neither one of those bills will not be heard. Are all minds clear?
Yes.
There has been a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Senator Marsden.
Aye.
Senator Lucas.
Aye.
Senator Newman.
Until they work it out, no.
Senator Norman.
No, by proxy.
Senator Spruill.
Aye.
Ayes 3, noes 2.
So you got your work to do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much. So,
This is my first and last energy bill. No doubt. Mr. Chairman.
yes, sir.
There should be a substitute before you.
It'll be available online. I have hard copies.
Great. Share. It's very simple. Yeah. It's basically making a pilot program permanent. I'm going to go ahead.
Let's go. Yes, sir. Please
Okay,
do.
all right. As substitute, this bill is largely consistent with the underlying provisions that a bill that passed unanimously carried by a Delegate Marshall in 2019, which created a pilot program aimed at promoting economic growth in rural Virginia. The 2019 bill allowed investor-owned utilities to build transmission lines a short distance to business parks to assist with business-ready efforts to spur economic development. The bill before you now takes that concept from a pilot program to the normal course of business, allows for a maximum of 2 parks in each investor-owned utility service area per year. Each project will be less than 10 miles in length. BDP will be still certifying the positions to ensure they meet requirements to be deemed eligible for the program. As far as I know, there is no opposition to the bill, and I believe there's some folks here who would express their support and answer any technical questions for you, Mr. Chairman. Yep.
Any questions from members of the committee?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Is the substitute online the substitute?
Yes, sir. It's on LIS.
Okay, I move the substitute.
You move the substitute. May I have a second, please? Been properly moved and second, the substitute be approved. All in favor, use the sign by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, we have the substitute before us. Any question from the members of the committee? Anyone present in support of the bill?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Amanda Cox with Appalachian Power, and we support the bill. We have seen some definite success in our service territory with this pilot program. We think it's a strong economic development recruitment tool. There are some parameters in place, as the senator mentioned, and we hope that you support the bill.
Thank you so much. Anyone else present in support of the bill? Is there anyone in opposition of the bill? Is there anyone else in opposition of the bill? Any comments from the members of the committee? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
Ready to move to report?
Second.
The proper movement and second, the bill is supported. Please call the roll.
Senator Marsden.
Aye.
Senator Lucas.
Aye.
Senator Newman.
Aye.
Senator Norman.
Aye by proxy.
Senator Spruill.
Aye.
Ayes 5, no 0.
Thank you, sir. All right. Who's present next? My friend, how you doing today, sir?
How are you?
Bless you. I'm doing fine. I got a headache. Okay. Senate Bill 1417, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 1417 is a quick read, as you can see right there. What it seeks to do is restore State Corporation Commission oversight to determine how utility project costs should best be recovered and actually consider captive ratepayers by allowing the commission in its discretion to determine that cost recovery, if cost recovery better serves ratepayers while still providing utility the opportunity to recover its cost and earn a fair rate of return through the base rate rather than through the series of rate adjustment clauses.
Thank you, sir. Any comments from members of the committee? Any comments from members of the committee?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
The
rate adjustment clauses in the other bill, a lot of them were rolled into the base rates. So are you talking about whatever rate adjustment clauses are left?
I don't know about the bill that's presumably going to go forward, the Dominion bill. It would be whatever happens. So it would be any rate adjustment clauses. It specifically specifies the ones in there that it would be up to.
It does not?
It does. You can see right there on line 13, and then when you look to the cross-reference, you'll see it's several.
Thank you. Any other questions by members of the committee? Is there anyone present in support of the bill? Anyone present in support of the bill? Please come forward. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon again, Senators.
Yes, ma'am.
Meredith Haynes, representing the Virginia Grassroots Coalition. Again, we're an organisation of over 50 volunteer groups and 15,000 engaged voters throughout the state. We ask that you support, we are in favour of this bipartisan bill that will help control rising electricity bills. This consumer protection would restore authority to the SCC to determine the most affordable way to pay for utility projects. We ask that you let the SCC do its job. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Anyone else in support? Anyone else in support? Is there anyone in opposition to the bill? Please come forward.
Mr. Chairman, Bill Murray representing Dominion Energy. We would respectfully oppose the bill. There was some previous discussion of whether the bill conflicted. This is a Section 1 bill. It starts with notwithstanding any other provision of law, comma, and this would be a very significant policy change from what you all did in 2007. The reason for the policy rate adjustment clause, and those that like them, those that do not, is to allow us to build infrastructure. At the time of the 2007 Act, we were the second leading energy importer next to California, and that was a problem. The RE-REG Act has worked while keeping rates below the national average. We would respectfully ask you not to do this in a one-sentence bill.
Thank you. Anyone else present in opposition of the bill? Anyone else present in opposition to the bill? Members of the committee, any more reports? Any more questions? If not, I'm ready for motion. One time. Ready for a motion. Two times. Ready for a motion.
All right, I'm ready to present the next bill.
Wait a minute, let me do my job. Three times. It dies for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, I believe it advances to the full committee without recommendation because there was not a motion.
Let me determine that. I'm the chairman.
I know what the motion would be.
Okay.
So I have Senate Bill 1419. Senate Bill 1419 allows individual retail customers of an electric utility to purchase 100% renewable energy from any licensed supplier in the Commonwealth. Currently, and the way that it does that specifically is if you look at lines 90 through 99, it removes the provision that basically says no one's allowed to compete with Dominion or Appalachian if they might possibly offer a proposal of a program. A few years ago in my area, there was news coverage about one of these renewable programs that only had 200 customers in the region, and people said, how could that be profitable? Well, the reason it was profitable was because that was offered. It meant no one else was allowed to compete.
Okay, thank you. Question from the committee, please.
Here's my concern, and it's been the same as I think you and others have brought these. Where in the bill do we fully protect ratepayers if a certain number of people go and you have stranded costs? Where does that not get transferred back to the ratepayers?
Well, Mr. Chairman, the previous bill, if both of these passed, would offer significant ratepayer protections by allowing the rate reviews. I would suggest that the Commonwealth and this General Assembly has made no effort to protect ratepayers over the last 15 years.
So, Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
I've voted with you on a number of those things, but on this bill, Is there anything that keeps the stranded costs being, let's say, persons X, Y, and Z take this, and everyone else still has to provide power when the sun doesn't shine or the wind doesn't blow? What keeps that stranded cost from going back on their neighbors?
So this bill, if you were to believe the 100% renewable energy program already, that would be part of the situation. But you've been here a long time, and
I didn't vote for them either.
I know where this is going.
Any other comments from the members of the committee? Anyone present in support of the bill? Anyone present in support of the bill? Yes, sir. We got 4 speakers, a minute apiece, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alex Thorpe, Commonwealth Strategy Group, on behalf of the Retail Energy Advancement League. We support this legislation. Shopping was very popular before the window to shop was shut, and customers would like to have that opportunity again. I'd be happy to address Senator Newman's questions also. If
you got 1 minute, you
okay.
can do it.
My understanding is that during the last triennial review, Dominion and the other parties involved agreed to settle this issue by taking the reallocating commodity costs over to transmission costs, because these customers aren't actually leaving Dominion service. They're just buying generation from someone else, but getting their transmission and distribution from Dominion still. So they would shift those costs over, so shopping customers would pay a higher transmission and distribution cost to offset any projected cost shifting for the remaining customers in Dominion generation service.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure how much the amount was. Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Next, please. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Matt Benedetti representing the Retail Energy Supply Association, and we support the bill, and I echo the comments just made.
Good. Thank you, sir. Next, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Bob Shippey with Sierra Club. We support the bill, and Senator Newman has raised an important question. I do think that is the answer, so I think that does protect.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Scott Pedowitz with the Apartment and Office Building Association and Virginia Apartment Management Association. We as well support the bill and encourage the committee to move it forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else present in support of the bill? Anyone in opposition of the bill?
Mr. Chairman, Bill Murray with Dominion Energy. I'll just note 3 quick things. First, starting on line 9 is the operative language of the bill. There are no limits on this. It's full-on deregulation. The 100% green power, it's not limited to wind or solar. It's not limited to resources in Virginia. With regard to Senator Newman's question, the third point, Senator Newman referred to a solar proceeding where the commission made a ruling on what the appropriate standby charge would be. There's several bills in front of both bodies or more than one bill. There's at least 2 bills to unwind. What that decision was, we would have significant, and I'm not familiar with anything in the triennial review which would remove our concerns about the effect of full-on deregulation. States with deregulation typically have higher rates than states with full-on regulation.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Question for
yes, sir.
Mr. Murray. Is this a situation where a customer could be buying a 2 a.m. in the morning water credit from hydropower in Pennsylvania that nobody wants, nobody needs, it's not being used, and it's just kind of you're selling a bag of air?
Without disparaging hydro, which in the right context is a valuable resource, hydro would qualify. I'll also note we're responsible for, it was noted, transmission distribution, but also standby generation for when we've got to keep the grid operating. Virginia has adopted a policy since 2007 that competitive shopping for 100% green power was only available unless the utility had its own program. We have a green power program. We also have significant, just within the regular Dominion energy fleet, significant renewable resources. I'm not aware of anybody criticizing Dominion at present for a lack of vigor in pursuing renewable energy, but there may be some who challenge generation mix, but we're putting a lot of effort into providing renewable energy for our customers. That only works if we know who our customers are.
Thank you, sir. Next, please.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, John Morris at Appalachian Power, and basically Senator Newman makes our point for us that the effect of this bill, and it may be different because of the specificity of our, or the particularities of our service territory, but to allow customers and developers, solar developers, to just shop indiscriminately and then pull that out of an environment in which there's a flat or declining load has the simple effect of creating upward pressure on rates, and it's at a time where Appalachian Power is especially sensitive to that issue. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Gentleman, or to David, whoever wants to answer. But let's say that half the people went off and bought their own power, right? You still have to do everything you're doing now, every line, everything's got to be kept, right? David, maybe have you ever considered doing this, but making sure that every penny on the stranded cost, which is not exactly the right term of art, but it's pretty close, is paid through one of these agreements?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I tell the senator that on the other bill, there's no way I understand the two electric monopolies are going to, it's not workable. It's also not workable because they fundamentally oppose competition at all. And so that's why, talking about, I'd be happy to entertain an amendment, something like that, but that won't be forthcoming because the realities are the reality.
Well, Mr. Chairman, David, I mean, that's good and interesting, but the fact is that it may change votes if you do fully recover costs and you fully recover. You make sure that the commission or someone is making sure that every stranded cost and is covered. It's just not here, right? And so maybe it's this year, maybe it's another year. But I think for me, if you address the stranded costs, that's what would make the difference.
Well, that would be the first vote to go with Senator Bell's vote. We'd have two.
You finished? All right. Yes, ma'am. Please come forward.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
members of the subcommittee, my name is Stephanie Kane with Old Dominion Electric Cooperative. Stephanie Kane, representing Old Dominion Electric Cooperative. We would like to respectfully register our opposition to this bill on behalf of Virginia's electric cooperatives.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Anyone else in opposition? And from the committee, any remarks? I'm ready for a motion. One time.
I think that as it stands, it is not good for consumers, and so I would recommend that we don't do it.
You move to not to approve. We have a second.
Second.
You have a second. Call the roll, please, sir.
Senator Marsden.
And the motion is to?
No recommendation.
No.
Not approved.
That's right.
Well,
So
does that sound like a PBI?
Is it a PBI?
That's basically what.
Yes, PBI.
I suspect.
Yes to PBI.
Senator Lucas.
PBI, yes.
Senator Newman. Aye. Senator Norman. Senator Spruill.
Aye.
5 ayes, 0 noes.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I look forward to the presentation. Make sure you let Senator Bell which no bill it is so we get that one vote.
Bless your heart. Bless your heart. Now, if that is for us, who is it? That's it for us? To our friends out, thank you all so much for coming. We'll see you again Monday on prime time.